Welcome back, everybody. It's Friday, and we got a really big show here for you today. We have Dmitry Zaytsev is here from Zaytsev.com, we'll say, and he's going to talk to us about some investing strategies in an uncertain market. We're going to have the guys from Green Relief here, and Steve LeBlanc and Warren Bravo. If you might recall, we have a site visit video that we did with them about a year ago. We're going to run that just before we cut to our interview with Steve LeBlanc because they're in the process of going public, and we're going to see whether we think that is a good idea for us as investors. Then we had Braingrid CEO Michael Kadanoff here. Now, Braingrid is also a company that is imminently going to go public, and they have special technology for the management of all systems in cannabis growing operations, from air to lights to humidity, and that was quite impressive. And then at 4:20, because that's how fast we're moving along here, we're going to break down the market. We're going to especially take a look at Curaleaf, and did a little sleuthing on the share structure. There's a couple things in there we don't like, but we'll get to that a little later. As for right now, 3 p.m., it looks like we're starting with the news. Did you know what the news is, Ed?
Yeah.
What's the news?
The
got any news?
No.
I don't got any news either.
But we're starting with it.
Apparently, there's no news here. You got any news under there? Anyways, here's the news.
Like, is
Donald Trump see his latest tweet?
Tweet?
Tweet. Tweet-a-lee-dee. Dee-dee. Anyways, it takes.
What's his latest tweet? What did he say?
He's basically.
He's worried about.
He's basically characterizing himself as a movie poster and warning Iran that sanctions are coming, as if winter is coming. It is the height of folly and the depths of depravity of the man they call the president south of the border. And please, guys, do something. Do something over there. Anyways, what other news do we have today? There was some.
Well,
news.
I'll tell you something that really sticks out, and we talked about it.
What's that?
About the obvious short in TGOD.
TGOD, and what happened?
And kicked in the balls every time.
And what did you say?
I said it just looked too easy. And, you know, I wouldn't be surprised tomorrow if it's up. And it was up. And not only is it up.
You could have made like a bandit
You know,
today.
if you'd have bought, you know, just a small position, like 1 million shares, you could have made $600,000.
Yeah. Small position like 1 million shares.
No.
That's chump change for any rich bags here.
5,000 shares at $3.
Yeah.
$2.90.
15.
Let it go at $3.50.
15,
60
17,
cents.
60.
Duh.
You make $1,800.
How do you spell duh? There's a way to spell it.
D-U-H.
That's it. Not D-A, because D-A isn't a word, but duh is a word.
Da is a word. In Russian means yes. Da.
Danke.
That's German. I'm going to pull up the chart on our.
Put up the T. Oh, okay.
I'm going to bring up the chart of the old TGOD because let's see what happened there. Let's see if we can deconstruct that from a angle of. You know, look at that.
What's that? On the C? Is that the CA?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
TGOD. There it is.
Wow.
Look at that.
Wow. Look at this.
Look at that. Bollinger Band's wide enough, trading on the bottom end of the Bollinger Band.
Look, we said you know, down in here, we were talking about the R, and look, oh, here we are shorting it here. Oh, and now we figured out, hey guys, it's a good short. The stock's coming out, but they knew that. We said, watch this, we'll show them.
Yeah.
So in the future, we're going to use our tools and say, does it fit? And we were thinking, is it time to go? Yeah, look at this.
Well, so you basically saved us.
Oh
from
my
ourselves.
God! Look at.
Could you imagine if you
traded
bought it
below,
there this morning?
below 250?
Yeah.
So it started, but then the short started to cover.
Well,
or somebody started to cover.
Or the promote began. The promote in Germany got underway. Anyways, I'm sure all these things came to bear because you know what, the guys behind TGOD are no dummies. They're no neophytes. They know how to run a market. Yeah. They made lots of money for people before, so they're just waiting for all those sorry sapsucker yellow-bellied sons of bitches to give them up their stock.
And these things, these deals, have such a short following as well because you know the short guys look and say, well,
I wish I was taller.
Duh, D-U-H.
Yeah.
And so you know what? The shorts start to cover, and it makes the other shorts nervous.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, enough said about that. So anyway, You watch the show, see, you learn something here.
You learn something.
I'm learning something.
I'm learning something. I'm going to pull up a chart of CURA right now because there's another interesting study.
Wow.
And CURA leaf. Now,
Yeah, it's only 5 days, so you only need a 5-day chart.
Yeah, but I found out some interesting things, Ed. Want to know what I found out? That this is basically a private company trading on a public exchange, because upon completion of the business combination, the subordinate voting shares, which are all the shares that the public buys, which represent 73% of the outstanding shares, actually only constitute 15% of the voting power. So 26% of the multiple voting shares, which are owned as to 100% by Boris Jordan, who's the CEO.
Oh, is it Boris or is it Jordan?
Boris Jordan.
Oh, he's got 2 first names.
He does.
Oh.
So he controls 100% of the multiple voting shares that contain 84% of the votes. So this is a private company.
Bit of a stacked deck?
Yeah. And also, the other thing that I saw that I did not like in the voting rights is that an offer by a potential buyer
For the voting shares.
does not necessarily represent an offer for the subordinate shares. Now, there are coattail rights, but still, if a buyer comes along and the premium being offered is good enough for the biggest shareholders, then the small shareholders have no choice but to go along for the ride whether they like it or not. And that's what I don't like about these private companies trading on public exchanges. And, you know, MedMan, this one, Tilray to a great extent, you know, these are private companies trading on public exchanges, and to categorize it any other way is to mislead oneself.
Right.
So the other interesting thing is the 127 million of these shares are owned by a single gentleman out of Russia. So these guys, out of Moscow, Russia, Andrei LeBlanc controls 127,173,634 shares, which is 37.9%.
Well, that's a $1 billion position right there.
Yeah. So,
Well, you know what?
$4 billion market cap.
And I'm going to make this statement. It's not acting. This thing moves around like there's a lot less shares than there are. Because when Fraser interviewed the guy basically said there's issued and outstandings over around 450 million.
Oh, really? Who did he interview?
You interviewed who did you interview with the CEO?
Not Boris, not the executive chairman. That's the guy I want to talk to, is Boris Jordan, the executive chairman. He's got quite the pedigree. Member of long-standing
I'll be right back.
Council
I'll be right back.
For Relations.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay, where did you do with my phone?
New heights of...
Where's my phone? I'm nervous. Have you got my phone?
I don't know where
Did you take it? Come on.
No, I don't know where your phone is. Anyways, so
I gotta know where my phone is.
You know what? Worry about it in a second.
You know.
Anyway, so
if you lost your phone, you wouldn't.
We had a quick conversation with Dmitry Zaytsev, and here's that conversation.
Give me my phone.
Hey, welcome back. My guest in this segment, actually, he's not technically a guest anymore. He's kind of part of the home team. Dmitry Zaytsev is our in-house resident analyst and chief. I'm going to call you a millennial. I hope you don't mind. Chief millennial. He's our millennial in chief. And today, Dmitry's going to walk us through some of the thinking that he employs in his construction of investment strategies, which have been uniformly successful. I can say that with full conviction because I've been following what he's been saying to me, and it turns out that he's right more often than he's wrong. One of the critical elements of success in any investment program. So Dmitry, welcome back.
Glad to be here.
So let's start with your first slide. You've got technicals here on weed.
So this is just something, this is just from my brokerage. I pulled it up. So I remember we were discussing back when Canopy was up here. Not sure if we get the mouse up here or not, but it's okay. We were talking about how there's a couple of supports in terms of the 200-day moving average.
Right.
And so that's sort of where we landed. Remember that little bet we had in terms of 100 versus 40? I mean, it didn't quite hit 40.
I was wondering if you're going to rub that in.
Yeah.
So you haven't won yet, and I haven't lost yet.
I guess
Is that what
not.
you're saying? But it came close.
But it came close, and I mean, for me, that's good enough at this point. But look, let's really discuss big picture what happened. there was a lot of excitement from this Constellation deal. A lot of people bought in, you know, with this run up, and a lot of them now are holding positions that are underwater.
Right.
And so this big downdraft with a sell the news event, like we discussed on our last program, there was also a lot of negative news that came out at the same time. So you had Scheer, the conservative leader, talk about maybe rolling back or regulating a lot of cannabis-related things there.
Now your mouse should show up there. Let's see if that works.
Wonderful. Yeah, headline risk. The OCS was not really efficient with their rollout.
I still don't have my marijuana.
Wow, what order number were you?
I was actually order number 36,000 and some odd, I think it was.
Got it.
And I ordered
That's like the morning of, right? Or overnight, yeah.
It was midday. So I ordered two different packages of pre-rolls, which were supposedly coming from Aurora, and then one jar of the super premium Edison brand from Organogram, which also hasn't arrived. So I haven't had any conversation with them. So I wonder how this is going to impact the balance sheets of these companies going forward.
Yeah, I mean, the income statement, the revenue is going to be really important. And for me, a big surprise was the fact that there's a private producer called Redican. I was not even all that familiar with them. But guys like that, they're going to take market share from these big LPs. In BC, you only have one store, and I've heard, you know, from people that live there, they're all going to the black market. So, you know, revenues may be really impacted, and I think that's what you're kind of seeing here. But another thing, just before we continue talking about the cannabis stocks, we have to talk about the global macroeconomic backdrop.
Right.
So this is just a chart of Fed funds rate. So the market decline that we've been having since around October 3rd, it was all triggered by this.
Okay.
So something we have to understand is the cannabis companies, they're extremely high growth. A lot of their revenue, a lot of their cash flows are way in the future. It's a big opportunity. But the problem is, as rates rise, your discount rate on your investment rises as well. And so the market had an expectation that the Fed would probably stop around 2.5% to 3%. Right now they're at 2%, the Fed funds rate.
Right.
And so Jerome Powell came out, the current guy that decides this, came out with a quote where he said, interest rates are still accommodative, but we're gradually moving to a place where they'll be neutral. We may go past neutral, he said. So we may go higher than 3%. And so
we may go inflationary.
Well, that's the problem is there's not that much inflation going right now. And so this would actually be very restrictive instead of accommodative. And so what that means is this is the 10-year, and on the right you have a chart here where he made that announcement.
Right.
And that spooked markets because to have this kind of move in fixed income is very significant.
Actually, I'm just going to point out to you, just for your own sake, that the cursor that you see here is not the cursor that you see up there.
Got it.
So it's actually not good to use the cursor.
So let me I'm watching up here.
Right.
But anyway, so where you see the blue arrow right there, it's a shorter dated chart.
Okay.
It's like a 1 month chart. And so you see that big run up there in the yield. And so this is just people in the market saying, oh wow, he might actually do it, because the expectation was he wouldn't. And so what that meant for high-flying, high-growth technology, wheat stocks, it's pretty negative. But it didn't really catch up to the wheat space until after October 17th. So going back here, this is why we saw such a big sell the news event, and why I was even surprised at how quickly we dumped. As you know, I had a bunch of puts that I've been building up. I added many more right before legalization, and I covered probably where you see this purple line. So right as it got there to, I gotta look up here. Anyway, right as we got to that purple line, which is the 100-day moving average,
right.
I covered them because I said, wow, this is a big move. We might actually bounce back up, but because the markets were in such doldrums, it actually just flatlined, and then you had another big sell-off after, where you saw moves of 15 to 20% on a lot of these names. And that was really damaging to investor confidence, I think, longer term.
Sure. But do you think the bounce back is, we're looking at it and it seems to be resolving towards the upside. Or is
Yeah.
it still a little bit soft for real?
I think it's soft, and I think today, I mean, this chart is up to this morning, right? So today we had, U.S. equity markets kind of roll over as well. I know you've been very busy today, but on the back of Apple earnings, and so you might, have a retest where it actually tests that 200-day moving average again, potentially. Who knows? But at the same time, everyone's been also waiting for a bounce. Right, like I got in a bunch of positions. Other traders got in on a bunch of positions for Canopy and others, and they're sort of waiting to unload. They're waiting for that big bounce. And if you look historically, I mean, you've had much bigger bounces previously when it came to huge sell-offs. So if you looked at January, February 2018, you had one-day sell-off, huge rebound. Later on, 2-3 days of sell-off, you almost got that full move coming back.
Right.
So you're not seeing the same thing, which is very worrying, I think. And for a lot of people that bought way up there at the tops, and as the excitement kind of dies down and reality sets in, that might cause a bit of consolidation.
So are you saying you might yet collect on your $40 weed bet?
Yeah, I don't know what we're betting, but I guess I might.
Just a gentleman's bet. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So what's the play here? How do you deploy capital and protect it at the same time in such an uncertain market?
Yeah. So I think I covered my puts, so made good money there. But right now the option premium is very high. The implied volatility is very high. So in most cases, unless you're very certain about a direction, I wouldn't play options. I would just have very tight stops, so have a game plan for your trades. You buy something, if it doesn't go your way, you cut your loss ASAP, because as we know, things can sink a lot faster than we expect. But generally, I think the next move we have now is towards the US. So, I'm looking at names like Charlotte's Web, Ianthus, Green Thumbs, and other guys. And I'm sure many investors are too, because they're you'll have a state legalizing recreationally every 6 to 12 months, and that's interesting. That builds excitement. You have Michigan voting, on November 6th, I believe, for recreational cannabis there. No one's really positioned there, but new markets are opening up in a very large market that is the U.S. And I think something else that starts happening now is a lot of these names start trading on valuations more so, or at the very least, you start seeing divergence in terms of certain names. So I put together a really rough, little comparable table. It's very simple. I quickly went on CDAR before my shower after my workout this morning and pulled the fully diluted numbers, kind of made some estimates for Canopy with their Constellation deal.
Right.
But this is what I came up with. So in essence, I have a market cap just based on the closing prices.
Yeah.
I have current capacity. Obviously for Canopy, they don't report, so I just eyeballed it. And according to CDAR, their most recent MD&As, this is the current capacity for all of these producers.
So this is all in thousands, I guess.
Yeah, so thousands. So obviously no units here, but the current capacity in thousands, and then capacity in 2019. And so if you look at it, if you multiply by their capacity for 2019 by $5, just an up there sort of number, these are the revenues you get. And so if you take their enterprise value, which in Canopy's case I subtracted 10 billion from their enterprise value, and divided by sales, that's the multiple you get. So the higher the multiple, the more richly valued a company is. The lower the multiple, the more conservatively valued it is. So what you see is, Canopy's at 5, Afria is a little lower, it's at 3.1, Aurora is at 12.4, Hexo's at 2.1, CanTrust 1.8, and Organogram is 1.4.
So by this metric, the bargain is obviously Organogram, and the dramatically overvalued stock, most overvalued in this universe, is Aurora.
Right, and the question, the pushback against what I'm saying now is, Aurora has a bunch of capacity they're going to have in 2020, and Aurora Sun, and et cetera, et cetera. I don't think it's actually going to be needed. I think there's going to be way more capacity just in these 6 names, to be honest with you, with the black market, with home grow, with private enterprises that are also doing this, or the ones that aren't listed, the other 100-something LPs. It won't actually be needed. So that's my view, at least. And at the same time, a multiple, we're just comparing, very rough numbers here. So maybe some of these guys can have better EBITDA margins, for example. Maybe, Organogram, because they have their indoor, multi-story thing, production, they'll be able to get higher EBITDA margins because they have a lower cost, for example. Hexo, they have a Molson deal. So maybe that's worth something, right? Because they'll actually have a partner to develop their beverages. Cannabis has Apotex. Canopy has $10 billion to deploy, and they have Constellation Brands. Like, Constellation Brands is really married to Canopy here.
Right.
So you have to sort of pick and choose, and that's why, I'm not too bearish on Canopy, because even though their valuation is second highest, right, their multiple is second highest, they have these partnerships and capital, which is very valuable. They'll never need to do another raise. For a lot of these other guys, we'll see.
They might run out of money.
They might run out of money, yeah.
Very interesting. Okay, so what's your, if I was to look at this, I would say, so you must be really highly interested in Organogram and CanTrust.
Yeah, so my name's, personally, I'm more interested in Hexo and CanTrust. And I like Organogram, don't get me wrong. I've held them before, they're a great company. I just like the partnership possibilities with Apotex and Molson.
Right.
That's just me.
Okay.
But I still think it's a great company, not to knock it or anything like that. But at the same time, I'm looking towards the US, like I mentioned. So these would be, less than half of my position, and the majority would be looking into the US. And so what are we looking at? The next catalyst we're going to have is you have quarterly earnings this month, and then 3 months from now, you're actually going to get to see rec numbers for a lot of revenues for these companies. And if you look, the reason why I put the current capacity up is because I think that's going to make a difference. So for example, CanTrust having 50,000 kilos, that's going to make a difference versus, Afria, who had 34 or so.
Right. Interesting. Well, so then it's really still a case of wait and see. Yeah. Align yourself with the growing U.S. opportunity, and align yourself with the ones that are trading at least a discount relative to their peers, and
we see what happens there for sure. And on the options front, I've been writing lots of puts and calls as well. So this is why I have this chart here. So this is just Canopy, and just because it's been the most liquid stock, it's best for this illustration. But you have something called an option implied volatility. So that's the blue line you see there. Okay. So in simple terms, the higher that line is, the more expensive options are. And the lower it is, the cheaper they are.
Okay. So
as an option buyer, right, you're disadvantaged. You're really hoping for a really big move if you're buying at the tops of these levels. So that's why I'm a seller right now, because the implied volatility is a lot higher. I think you're not going to have as many big swings anymore, even to the downside. I don't think there's going to be many big swings. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? Deals could change that. Who knows, right? But I think they're going on now. You're going to have much smaller moves day to day, and so that's going to compress the volatility, and that's going to make those options worth a lot less. I'll give you an example. I was able to write a Canopy put for a $30 strike, and I got for February, and I got paid $2 for it. So what does that mean? I'm willing to buy Canopy at $30, and I'm forced to buy no matter what. And for that, contract, me being forced to buy it, I'm receiving $2 of premium. So the math on that kind of works. Okay, if I have to put up, if I write 10 contracts, it's 1,000 shares. I get $2 a share. That's that's $2,000, right? If I do that, and my margin's only about $10,000, right? Let's say for this trade, that's a 20% return in 4 months. If it never hits 30.
Right.
If it hits 30, I'm okay with buying it because they have $10 billion of cash.
Right.
And as we saw earlier, on their this very rough numbers will be updated. Their enterprise value at $20 is all cash, pretty much.
So then, if you end up being forced into buy it, you're basically buying it as a value investor.
Yeah, pretty much. Because I'm getting the business for $10, or actually $8 because I got $2 of premium. And do I think Canopy's worth $8? Yeah, that between the 20 and the 30, yeah.
Wow.
I think so.
All right, let's leave it there again, Dmitry. That was very enlightening and confusing for me as well.
I hope not. I'm trying to.
It's very simplified. I have a very unmathematical brain. Multiplication and subtraction are my strongest and weakest suits. So we'll leave it there for now. We'll come back to you. I hope you have me back again next week, and thanks for the participation.
Always happy to be here, James.
Well, interesting, isn't it?
I know, he's pretty smart. He's a pretty smart boy, that guy.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, so there's some alternative strategies for the alternative thinking.
Alternative thinking, I like that. Alternative thinking.
He's pretty bearish.
He's the Russian bear.
He's the Russian bear.
Yeah. Ursa.
Ursa Major, Ursa Minor. So, Ed, I'm looking at a serious rally in a lot of the stocks as we look across the bottom of the ticker
in some of the names that you wouldn't expect to rally too, like for instance, ISOL's had a big day, up 25%.
Isodial, yeah. TGOD.
TGOD's flying.
Rock and roll.
Flying. Boy, we would have looked stupid flashing out the big short sell yesterday.
Yeah, I don't short. To me, shorting is already a loaded, if it's a different game. It's a different game altogether. You got to know what you're doing. You got to bank in all of these extra fees. And so your absolute return on a short is, mathematically more challenging than it is on a simple long execution. Buy low, sell lower. Oh, no, wait, it's the other way around. Buy low, sell high.
You're selling high, buying low.
Right.
Selling high. You're doing
See, right away. That's
it's the same transaction, only you change the order.
That makes no sense to me.
Well,
buy high and sell low.
A lot of things don't make any sense, but they happen.
Yeah, so the, let's see, Ianthus, still a deal at 680 if you ask me. And the other one that I saw that Fraser pointed out was Origin House, formerly Canada Royalty, has almost doubled in value over the last 3 or 4 sessions, and that's remarkable. We're going to the Origin House rebranding party next Thursday night. Just in case you're wondering, Mark, yes, we would like to come, wouldn't we, Ed? But we need like 10 tickets.
Hey, there's a big convention in Vegas coming up.
The MJBiz convention.
You think we should probably
no
go there?
No.
Maybe send me as your
I see.
Visitor.
You're looking for an all-expense-paid trip to Vegas, are you?
You know what? I don't really like Vegas.
I have no use for Vegas.
I don't, but you know what?
And I don't have much use for conferences
But a lot of
either.
our companies are going to be there.
Yeah, that's fine.
It might be a good chance for me to maybe shake.
I don't know if you've noticed, Ed, but they're happy to come to us. Now, why do we need to go all the way to Vegas?
I'm just trying to get a free trip, all right? Free trip.
To a place you don't really like.
Yeah.
What's the matter with you? Like, this is the same kind of thinking that results in short strategy. It's just like, it's based on a faulty premise. I don't really like the place, but I want a free trip.
Well,
I don't really believe in the company, so I'm going to sell it short, even though I don't know.
Soft.
Anyways, I want to pull up the, I'm going to start referring to these as the Midas Letter way out of whack indexes, just for fun.
When I look at Northern right there, is that North 40? That's not North 49, is it?
No, I don't know who that is.
Okay.
I think it might be Northbud. No, Northbud is NBud. Nutritional high.
Well, sometimes they have the wrong.
idea.
Look at this one. OH.
That's Origin House. We were just talking about. That's Mark Lustig's.
I thought it was Ohio.
Up 70 cents in one day. Yeah, Ohio. That would be if you were sending a letter. Sending a letter. Okay, you had me. I was just about to do something. I can't remember what it is now.
Well, that's not hard to fool you.
Cannabis. Let's look at these indexes here and see what they're telling us, if anything.
Yeah.
The Midas Letter way out of whack cannabis indexes.
Just saying, nice happy hour at Mercado. I got to tell you.
Okay, so hey, you know what? What time's happy hour at Mercado? And you're saying $5 a drink.
Yeah.
Until what time?
From 3 till 7.
Well, you know what? At Red's, from 7 till close, there's happy hour with $5 drinks. I just walked by and noticed the sign.
You know what we should do?
Start there.
Start there.
Finish here.
Finish there.
We could be drunk all night.
Look
at this. So let's see. The most decisive recovery of all these indexes is clearly small caps.
Yeah, I bet you
the CSE is up 9.2.
I bet you TGOD's...
TGOD is not a small cap. TGOD's in this... Actually, I bet you TGOD's in the venture cap index. Let's just see here. Survey says
Look at TGOD's coming off now, only up 74.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's volatile. 90, it was up to 90, yeah, wow. It was up 96 cents at one point.
Spit it out.
96 cents. There we go. Just like that. Bam, bam, bam. Anyways. So let's see. The big performers on the small cap, or the venture index. Now, we still have some of the companies haven't been listed there. Bank Pharmaceuticals, I've never even heard of them. Chiron Life Sciences is up 10% today, $1.52.
I think they got something unique, and I think some of the unique companies are more are better candidates of getting taken over because they're unique.
Yeah,
if you're just a not to say
we grow weed, we sell weed, it's the best.
Yeah, those companies are not going to do much.
We smoke our own.
Afria up 13. I like Afria as a good trader. It doesn't have as many.
Wow, you could have made $5 a share on that in the last 3 sessions.
Well,
It's down at $10.
No, I don't
week.
think so.
It was.
No.
Well, what do you know?
I think it got down to about 12 and
Yeah,
change.
10.
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yep.
Nope.
You're gonna pull up a chart just to prove you wrong.
No.
Okay.
No.
APH. Here we go. Oh, invalid symbol.
Yeah.
Here we go. Oh! What the hell is going on here? I'm not getting the.
Hey.
Symbol is APHA.
Oh! They changed their symbol.
Yeah, so it's the same on every exchange.
Oh, I see. See? Look at this, Ed. Here's the Afria chart. What am I showing right here, Ed? Right here. See down here? Is that below $10? Oh, it is.
What? No.
Yeah.
Not below 10.
Tuesday, October 30th.
What?
Open 950, high 1064, low 945, closed 1013.
That's in the U.S.
Yeah, and? You said it didn't close below 10. I said it did.
Yeah, but in the U.S., if you did it, you can't put it in
Where
Canada.
was I on
Do it in
October 31st? I was in the U.S.
All right. Okay. You got me. We'll see. We'll be keeping score here.
All right.
All right.
right.
Suggestion.
Yeah.
Keep your back to the wall. Keep your back to the wall, okay?
Keep my ass against the
My
wall.
gloves are off, okay?
Ooh.
Fighting words.
Okay, you know what?
Yeesh.
We got to. We're gonna. So we had a visit from Steve LeBlanc from Green Relief, but before we move to that clip, we're going to run the Green Relief site visit because this is one of the ones with the fish, and it's really interesting.
Fish.
Aquaponics is the most sustainable form of agriculture known in the world today. The roots in the system that are in the water suck the nitrates and clean the water for the fish, going right back to the fish tanks from the beds. It's a symbiotic relationship between fish, water, plants. Just like any freshwater lake you've ever paddled through in a canoe, see a lily pad growing, a bulrush is being fed the same way. It's by the fish that are in that lake. From the time we take a cutting to the time we harvest and start drying is 8 weeks. Wow. 6.7 harvests per year. We're getting about 30% more product annually than any other method of growing. So we still get the same nitrate, phosphorus, potassium, micro, macronutrients, and actually more heterotropic and aerobic bacteria action than most of the other systems do in this natural closed loop system. So we actually have more benefit from feeding them converted fish manure than a commercially fertilized scenario. Light is the other important factor. All LED lights, we have 5 different light recipes from the time that they're at this stage to the time that they're harvested.
It's a big deal. When people look at our cost of sales on an indoor grow, a lot of people say, well, how can you achieve that? 1, we don't have a cost of fertilizers. 2, we use 40% less power.
And your average yield per square foot?
Annually, we're over a pound per square foot.
Over 450 grams per foot.
And some strains were well over 500. Fish stay in the tanks, not in the grow beds. because the fish would eat the roots of the plants. It's just the water that has to be circulated through the system. The plants uptake whatever nutrient they want at whatever phase of growth they're in. That's why we get a faster grow. Once it's gone through and the plant roots have had a chance to suck the nitrates and clean the water, it goes back into the fish tanks virtually clear. Totally scalable system. These are 800-gallon tanks. I could have 1,500-gallon tanks. The next building, we're going to be producing 100,000 pounds of product annually using the same system and 1,200-gallon fish tanks. The fish in our system reach 800 to 900 grams. We give them a salt bath for 5 days. So the salt water actually really makes the fillet tender. So it's a very nice, clean, natural, organic tilapia.
You guys serve fish and chips for lunch ever?
All the time.
We donate our fish to the Second Harvest Homeless Shelter group. We have fed 35,000 people tilapia to date by donating the fish. I do get a tax receipt, which totally negates my cost of fertilizing. It's cost of goods sold at $1.42 a gram. We're one of the aggressive ones in the industry because 25 to 30% of your cost of growing cannabis is fertilizer. Our machine can extract supercritical, which is heated CO2. It can extract CO2 liquid, which is cool. About 5 kilograms of dried cannabis is put inside one of the
5 kilograms compacted?
Compacted in that cylinder right there.
I see.
So if I put 5 kilograms of biomass, I get about 25% finished oil out of that, which is about 100% better than anybody else is doing in the market right now. We're using 90% less water than any other form of agriculture in the world. We're all going to see fresh water being traded on some commodities index over the next number of decades. And so people are going to have to gravitate towards systems that are sustainable. Everything you see here is a scaled down version of what you saw in our main grow rooms. So you can grow exactly what I'm doing there with this system in one single raft.
Eventually, this is the agriculture that's going to feed the world. And right now, we import mass amounts of produce to supply our country, and the government's very interested in working with us towards creating food sovereignty.
So there's lots of benefits to what we're doing here, not just growing. We want to see this science advance. We want to see aquaponics being used in a much more robust way.
Yeah. So, the fish, Ed.
The fish head.
The fish head. The fish.
You
So
know what?
get
I
fish
like it.
and weed.
I like it. I like
Yeah.
I like
Have you-
that sort of.
Would you eat the fish?
You know what I like? You know what? I'm moving more and more into eating things that are in the wild. I want to eat as natural food as possible.
Those fish are pretty wild.
Well, but they're sort of in a container, you know.
They're in a tank. They're farmed fish.
They're farm fish, and that's okay. But I prefer to have wild trout.
Okay. Well, so this is 1 year later, and here's Steve LeBlanc who's taken the company public now with Warren Bravo, and here's what Steve had to say just a little bit earlier. Welcome back. My guest in this segment is Steve LeBlanc. He's the co-founder and president of Green Relief Inc. Steve, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Steve, we just saw a clip of the site visit we did at your facility in Puslinch, Ontario. I love to say Puslinch. I never knew it existed until you guys built a plant there. Lots has changed in the Green Relief universe. You're getting ready to go public. You've got new relationships in Europe. Let's start off with what has changed locally since we shot that video a year ago.
We've been bringing in an enormous amount of technology from overseas, a lot of it via IFAM iLabs, our joint venture partnership over there. Exclusive drying technology, stuff that we're doing in our lab, the technical expertise that Danielle Shibido has basically laid out for us and trained our PhDs and lab techs to implement within our oil extraction separations. We're doing full separations, THC, CBDs, specific CBD profiles. It's just an evolving science lab.
And is Green Relief selling product currently?
Absolutely. We have oils, flour. Our oils are rated one of the best, I think the best in the market, bar none. We have the widest CBD spectrum oil and highest CBD count oil in the market to date.
Really? I am going to be a customer. Now, is that available through the Ontario Cannabis Store recreationally, or do I need to become a patient?
You need to become a patient. As of right now, we aren't playing in the rec space.
Well, that's fine, because I ordered from the rec space 2 weeks ago and I still haven't seen anything. So
You order from us, you'll have it the next day.
Okay, great.
No, we're not playing in the rec space just due to the fact that we're majorly expanding at this point. We've got 240,000 square feet of expansion taking place in Puslinch. We are the guys who bought Players Paradise in Stony Creek. We have a facility coming online in Halifax, 100,000 square feet. But until those facilities are fully operational, we really don't have the capacity that we need to play in the rec space as well as still service our patients.
Sure. So are all these new emerging operations still focused on the aquaponic model?
Absolutely. It's the best way to grow in the world.
Well, I'm looking forward to increasing the amount of fish I eat in my diet as soon as I get one of these systems. Now, tell me about what's going on in Europe.
Right now in Europe, through IFAM and iLabs, we have the ability now to import 40 off-the-shelf products that IFAM has already developed. And we also have the ability now to move our products or anything that we develop from Canada into Switzerland and then throughout the EU. It is a big deal for us, and it was a coup for us to be partnered with these individuals, as almost everybody in the cannabis space was trying to solidify that partnership.
Interesting. Okay, so tell me about your go public transaction. Are you going to raise a ton of money, and how many? What's the share structure going to look like once you go
Well, in
live?
today's world, I think we're raising very little money. We're raising $45 million, and we're currently on what we call the roadshow,
right?
And talking to different people. That's going incredibly well. We're getting a huge positive response on that entire endeavor. I'm enjoying it. I have a tendency of liking to talk, so that kind of fills right into what I like to do.
Makes a good interview.
And yeah, there you go. Yeah, I think it's going well, but if you equate that to what people have raised in previous IPO offerings or go public offerings, it's not a huge amount of money.
What's the pre-money valuation on that?
About $400 million.
Oh, okay. So that's also within the realms of rationality compared to some of the recent valuations we've seen.
I think you'll find that we really are the rational guys in the industry. Not to put anybody else down in the industry, that's not what I'm saying, but we like to be incredibly real. So what we speak about, what we talk about, and the science behind what we do is all very real, has been proven through beta testing, so on and so on.
So tell me the cost per gram of the aquaponic system. Cost per gram has become discounted as a metric to measure overall costs by, but how does your cost of grams sit relative to your peers?
We're at $1.42 a gram currently, and that's a fully burdened cost of sales. It includes depreciation, packaging, the entire gambit. I see numbers, one day it's 90 cents, another day it's $1.80 for a particular LP. I don't really know how they're equating their cost of sales, but ours are true cost of sales. Those costs of sales were established 2 years ago. Since then, we've been in full R&D mode, trying to perfect and hone our processes. We've made great leaps and bounds in that, and with that, we think our cost of sales are going to be significantly lower moving forward.
Fantastic. Okay, so then once you're a public entity, are you going to sort of diversify growth into the recreational space in Canada?
It depends on how much we're producing and how much we can get into the medical market. We've just solidified a deal with a clinic model. It's a virtual clinic model that we feel we have the ability to onboard roughly 100,000 patients per annum. And if we're doing that, then we don't feel we're going to be playing very much in the rec market whatsoever. But again, the rec market's a fallback position. If I have an abundance of product, then I'll sell it in rec. We did get an offer from one of the provinces looking for product, and it was at an extremely high price. In comparison to what people were signing deals for previously. So waiting might be better.
Yeah, right. And in terms of the Canadian marketplace, do you think, from your perspective in Ontario, do you think that it's reaching capacity in terms of production capacity on both medical and recreational fronts?
Well, there's a real shortage in the rec market right now, so probably not.
Not if you're a black market customer.
Not if you're a black market customer. And listen, we all know that the laws that have come into place are going to start basically eliminating the black market. People are going to go to jail for this. The penalties are severe. But for right now, I don't think anybody really wants to be enforcing that kind of stuff because there is an incredible lack of products in the market. So that's a problem. People want to be able to get their product, so they got to get it somewhere. Having said that, moving forward, yeah, I think where capacity is going to start catching up with the industry, and then it's going to be about quality of product. And whoever's got the best quality of product at the lowest cost per gram is going to come out the winner. And we have both.
Okay. What's the range of products that Green Relief offers presently?
Right now we have 9 dried cannabis strains, and we're increasing that on a regular basis. The eventuality is we'd like to have somewhere between 50 and 100 of dried cannabis strains, or oils, which, believe it or not, are somewhere around 70 to 85% of our sales on a day-to-day basis. Are really key to us, and we are producing the best oils in the market, and because of that, it is our primary focus.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious as to how you define the best in terms of qualitative terms. Some people think that that means a high THC content. Other people feel that it's more a pharmaceutical standardization where they can get the same product continuously. When you say the best, what do you mean?
Okay, I'm talking about purity of product. Okay. Because we actually separate our cannabinoids and our THC out of a sativa plant, and we're purifying the product as we're doing it, we have the purest CBD product on the market. Plus, we have the widest spectrum. A lot of the LPs in Canada are extracting from hemp to get a CBD product. The CBD profiles are significantly less in a hemp plant than they are in a sativa plant. We're using only the sativa plant, and because of that, medically, we've got a better spectrum product. Plus, we have the highest concentration of CBDs in the market. THC, everybody is limited to how much you can put in your oils. So realistically, THC products are relatively oil-wise the same across the board.
So you mean the government has instituted limits on THC content?
Yes, you're only allowed a certain amount per milligram. So basically, everybody can max out to that. We have different level oils depending on what somebody wants to consume, but the max kind of hits everybody on the same plateau.
So is the same restrictions apply to CBD content per milliliter?
No. CBDs, you can put as much as you want in your oils, and that's why we have the highest concentration of CBDs for volume as well as the widest spectrum.
So how many milligrams per milliliter are you able to reach?
I think we're at 51% was the last test that we just got.
Wow. So 50 milligrams per milliliter, is that the way that math works?
I'm not sure how that math works, but basically if you look online, it'll be online. I think the last stuff that we were putting out was 49 point something percent. And I don't want to misquote here, and I don't have the numbers in front of me.
Sure.
But I know our last test on our CBDs came up at 51. So that'll be my next batch of Sunrise oil coming out.
Okay, so what do your sales look like for 2018 on a look-back basis from today?
We're growing at a rate of 30% a month.
In terms of gross revenue?
Of gross revenue.
Okay.
And we're onboarding patients at a rate of roughly 40 to 50 patients per day, and we haven't even brought in our major clinic models, i.e. the virtual clinic model, as well as 36 standalone clinics that we've just purchased. Those are online as well. And they're existing clinics that are health and wellness clinics that we're adapting to the cannabis space moving forward.
Interesting. All right, Steve, we're going to leave it there for now. We'll come back to you once you're a publicly traded entity and be watching with interest. Thanks very much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, so what do you think? Weed and fish. Fish and weed. Fish weed.
Fish weed.
Yeah.
Fish weed.
Tilapia weed. Want to smoke some tilapia? I'll make you some weed and chips.
How about some smoked salmon?
Some smoked salmon. Oh, Jesus, Eddie. Yeah.
Just
woo.
Touchdown.
Oh.
Touchdown.
No. Jesus. Hey. I'm flummoxed. I'm flabbergasted.
You're sitting there going, let's see now. And you
what's a good smoked fish? Smoked tilapia. Boy, it should have been obvious.
Duh.
No.
Hey.
Anyways.
D-U-H.
D-U-H. So anyways, let's go back and take a look at some of our...
let's go black and see where the action is.
Let's go black. Once you go black, you'll never go back, baby. So Midas Letter, small cap, what? Blackfish. You know, black rock cod. You've never had
black cod.
I don't know. I like what you're insinuating.
Black cod.
You don't think black cod looks better in the? You remember that Gino Vanelli tune?
Oh, I don't. Black cars.
Yeah.
So
let's see. We got CFC is up 10%. The company that has lost most egregiously on the CSE today has been Alliance Growers Corp. Alliance Growers, I guess they don't grow much because they're down 10%.
Wow, but look at that thing. It's got slaughtered from 16 down to 15 cents.
Arev Brands, never heard of them. High Hampton Holdings.
Now, you know, the other thing,
What's going on with High Hampton? They're going to stage a recovery here at some point. I know they've got big things coming down the pike.
Yeah.
Look at Juju International. What's that doing in the all red thing? Just by way of a note, I did lighten up on my position and may continue to do so unless we see something happen here. But look at that. It's in the, oops, what's going on there? In the red, in the red. These companies are in the penalty box. So we've seen a broad rally in a lot of the names. So the companies that haven't been able to stage a rally during a broad rally, those are the companies that generally, you know, you got to ask yourself, well, if they can't get a run when the rising tide is lifting all boats, what does that tell you? I know that in Juju's
I like the action in the bigger ones. I like the way the Afria, we had a little softness after that initial move.
Yeah.
But viewers, don't kid yourself. This sector is extremely oversold, and any reason to cover, well, I need to see a little more action. I want to see it get back over. What are we looking at here?
Well, actually, what we're looking at is in the last 4 days. So the rally was steep in October 31st and November 1st, and we actually ended up with a red day yesterday.
Yeah.
And today,
green.
It's green, but it's looking weak. So it looks like it could be rolling over again.
Well, you know what? That's an indecisive candle. That last candle, as the one it was the day before, and the only difference is yesterday it opened. You know, it's a virtual same kind of candle, same setup. Yesterday, it opened higher, closed lower. Today, it opened lower, closed higher. Or it looks like it's closing higher.
Yeah, 7 minutes
That's
ago.
why. That's the only difference between those two candles, and the color determines what came first.
So tell me, Edward, with all your technical might,
prowess,
if
you will,
might. What's the best short strategy out there for you today among all the cannabis companies?
Well, what I would probably watch. I'm probably looking at a short maybe in the area where people are saying this shouldn't be here. There's reasons. There's this.
So you're talking MedMen.
Like TGOD's one. MedMen may be another. And I want to short a stock that's had a move up. I don't want to short it after a move down. Like I had to borrow in hand for the TGOD, and I decided against it. And I could have made some money if I would have covered quickly, but chances are I didn't. And then the thing just, look at it. It moved to 380, 390.
Yeah.
If you shorted it for the short trade, you know what you got. You got your hair cut.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I'm looking. And if I saw some big support numbers breached on some of the bigger ones, then I might add to a short there. But you know,
there's a few new ones in the. Oh, this is the small cap index. What happened there? Thought I clicked on the large index. Yes, I did. But
okay, click on the
index page.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so Canopy. Oh, backed off a little today, 0.21%.
Can you rank them according to their percentage change? I'd like that.
Today?
Yeah.
So TGOD tacked on 20.49
There you go.
cents.
And it, look at this thing. This thing was just up 90 cents. Now it's only up 3.47. That's an indication that the strength is not really there, you know?
Okay, so it's up 59 cents.
Yeah.
It was up 96 cents at the high.
I think it was close to about 380, 385.
So do you think we're going to see this thing back right off?
I would say we're going to get my guess is we get
pull up the live chart and see how she's looking. TGOD. That's calling during the middle of the show.
They obviously they think that I'm bullshitting them when I tell them I do a show.
Pat, he's on a show.
He's delusional.
Don't call now.
He's delusional. He actually thinks he's a broadcaster. He's telling us this.
He wants to be on the show. He's trying to sneak onto the show through your phone.
Yeah. Okay, so
look at this. Look at this sell-off in the last hour here.
That's.
So there you go. This. If you ask me, that's a bunch of that's not short covering. That's long covering.
Well, you know, they could be long saying, "Hey, I bought a bunch of stock this morning. What am I waiting for?"
Yeah.
Like, hey, you could have snapped up 100,000 shares here, easily made 100 grand all day long.
Yeah.
Duh. So look. So here's what I say: that we're probably going to see a test tomorrow. If this thing starts to move up here, I would say short it and then use a 390 as your cover. Like you see 390. The only problem with seeing a number is that you may cover, but it may not stay up there.
Right.
But I usually you get a run, you get a good steep correction, which is an indication that there's overhead resistance. But then tomorrow, if it opened up 370, 375.
Now, I just want to point out something here, Ed, and that is that the Bollinger Bands have come in very tight.
Yeah, but this is a daily chart. So this daily, this open, like wide, narrow, wide, right?
Yeah.
But it can happen many times in a day.
Okay, let's go to 1 month.
Put up a 1 month. Now that look, like, see, here's what I don't like about this chart. I don't like this wick. Okay, you got a little tail. You got a nice big move through the day here. Look at that, folks. Hey, all kinds of printing opportunities. This is where it opened, way down. Look at that. That's where in the hell were we? We should have been snapping it up.
Yeah, well, Ed.
Easier to say.
You're not going to bend over and pick up all the pretty pennies when you've got guys walking around kicking people in the ass. Why present when you can just stay erect?
You know
keep
what?
your powder dry. Well, that's one of the things, if you're going to trade on emotion, that's the kind of thing that triggers the fear and greed emotion. You say, oh my gosh, I'm fearful of missing out, I better get in there.
Well, that FOMO is dangerous.
And that's where you get your ass handed to you.
I've had, coming from a very, very impoverished background,
Impoverished? I thought you started with a fortune and you only became impoverished after you invested it.
How do you make $1 million in the market? Start with $2 million. How do you turn it into $1 million? Yeah. Look at Tilray coming positive at the end of the day. That's I think important. I think that's important.
Yeah, could be just some short covering going on though.
Well, you know what? Maybe people are looking for bargains. They're starting to see some things move, and there may be something to this U.S. Idea that's where the U.S. stocks are giving you action.
Yeah.
Now TGOD isn't U.S. though, is it?
Nope.
You know that lady that merged her private company with Allison Gordon?
Yeah.
She's the Dutchman in the green organic Dutchman.
Sure, she was, yes, one of the co-founders.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's look at Wayland here. Now this is one that...
You like that story.
Well, they're a client, so since they're smart enough to be a client, I think that probably there's going to be some big things happening in the stock.
They're pretty smart, yeah.
Well, and the company's got a lot of things going on for it. It's like one of the largest vendors of marijuana to Europe.
I just want to point something out here on this chart, and I want to just tell the viewers that we had it outside the band, okay, but then rallied back to the band, had another test here, but notice how it closed above the low here, and then we tried to go down, and then it rallied again. This is setting up for looks like this is getting ready for a move up. That's all I'm saying.
Whether they're our client or not.
Whether you know what. The charts don't lie to me.
Yeah. No, I think Wayland's. I mean,
if you look at a stock like that, you can get yourself a nice position if it moves 40-50%, 40-50 cents.
Yeah.
It's a third.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
Nothing.
Jeepers.
Nothing at all.
Hey, Zeus.
Gosh, these guys with their software updates like Apple and everything changes so slightly. Really, I wish they'd just leave it alone for a while.
No, they can't.
They just can't help themselves, can they?
They can't leave it alone.
That's
Boy,
why
I'm telling you, I'm putting on a head of steam here. I'm getting a little thirsty.
How are you? Well, it is Friday. You're going to go to a watering hole after this, Ed?
I think.
Well, I happen to know a place where the drinks are $5 after 7 o'clock. Now, does your place have
pizza?
happy hour on Fridays?
I don't know. See, that's
a little bit of that.
you know what I think? I think Friday's a good day to go looking because a lot of people are trying to get out, right?
Get out of the market.
Thursday night seems to be a much more difficult night. They took 2 long tables at Mercado and they put one like a T formation from your football days, T formation.
Yeah.
And so we had walking area, you know, Steve came by. I mean, there's all your friends were there. Where's James?
Really?
Where's James?
Oh, well, I was getting my hair cut.
And that chant became almost like a chorus when the when the bill came. When the bill came, when the bill came, the chant became a chorus.
Yeah.
Where's James?
Yeah,
Where's
right.
James?
How are we going to pay this bill if James is in here? Well, it's good to know that I'm loved for at least something. Not for my short arms, but for my long arms.
You know what?
Look at JWCA, still struggling
Okay.
beneath 90 cents there. Ianthus did a nice move today,
Let's
up
put up.
42 cents.
I think we should put up a chart of copper here, if we got time.
Copper.
Yeah, because copper yesterday and today is up 15 cents a pound.
Okay.
That's a big move. That's a big move. Something's changing in the copper pit.
All right. Copper chart. I wouldn't even know where to get one of those.
I know how to get one on a free website.
Why don't you get it up there and put it up there, Ed? Then we're going to switch to your NDI and we're going to get you with your little pens, do some little markings on
Well,
there.
this I can't do it on the NDI thing.
What? Doesn't work on the NDI?
Well, let's just find out, okay?
Okay. In the meantime,
Control room. Is it possible that we can find we can get a commodity quote on NDI?
let's see if
Control
they
room?
respond. Control room. Is there anybody out there?
There's special ed. Okay.
Okay, so still listed as American under quote media. They're pretty much the slowest for changing symbols. So big news for Wayland. They closed their bought deal at $50 million at $1.65 a share, and it's trading at $1.41.
They just raised $50 million bucks.
They just closed a bought deal of $50 million at $1.65 a unit.
How many shares do they have?
How many shares outstanding in total?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Give me. I just need to get an idea. Is there like 100 million or is there 500 million?
194 million.
Plus what they just raised.
Plus what they just raised.
Which is another 300.
No.
No, another
80 million.
Listen, a big funding.
No. 60 million.
A big funding. So they just raised at $1.65, $50 million bucks. So that's another 30 million shares.
Yeah.
30 million shares.
Good math, Ed.
So look, I've always felt that at a company that really isn't profitable, I'm assuming these guys aren't very profitable, any cash that they add to the till is non-dilutive in a sense. In other words, it makes it a stronger company.
That could be.
So I like it.
Yeah.
I want to see what. What are you laughing at?
Okay, I guess we're not getting a copper chart up.
Well, I can get it up, but not.
You can get it up. Well, that's a relief, Ed.
Yeah, well, I'm 67. Okay, give me a break.
Well, that's so that's something.
What's your point?
Yeah, exactly. Are you bragging or complaining?
Okay, I'm going to get a copper chart up here.
Now here's a press release from mid-October that I want to look at
You want to
on
look
Wayland.
at it now?
Yeah. So these guys entered into an agreement to supply 9,000 kilograms for export to Germany. Now the export price, if it is, this is essentially $30 million worth of business to Wayland Group, which is, it's not maybe. It's guaranteed 90,000 kilograms over a 3-year term. 9,000 kilograms. So that's
every time somebody starts talking about kilograms and acres of this and all this, I don't know what the hell. I'm sitting here, I feel like someone's got a egg beater in my head and just
they stuck in through your ear and it's like
yeah.
Anyways, we had a little chat with Braingrid's CEO, Michael Kadanoff. Do you know what Braingrid does, Ed?
Yeah, I actually spent a week with Michael in Dubai.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, he was here today, and here's what he had to say about Braingrid. Hey, welcome back. My guest in this segment is Michael Kadanoff. He's the CEO of Braingrid Corporation, which is soon to be trading. Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let's start with an overview. Michael, what is the business of Braingrid?
Braingrid is a technology company presently servicing the cannabis industry with wireless monitoring in real time for cannabis producers. We're a first mover, if not the first mover, as a soon-to-be public company that's providing ancillary services to this cannabis industry. For the name simple goal is reduce costs, reduce risks, ensure compliance, and really just ensure some peace of mind for these growers as they scale up in this industry.
Sure. So what kind of metrics is it that you're gathering?
Well, we start by basically capturing the roots and the canopy of the plant, to be really frank, on the cultivation side. But cultivation is not where we only go. So, for instance, humidity, temperature, CO2 and the air quality, pH, electrical conductivity or AC, and a variety of other things that go on in the roots. But we don't stop there. We talk about everything about the facility, including the drying room or curing room sometimes. Sometimes it's a vault too. Mm-hmm. The server rooms, sometimes we need to make sure that the servers don't lose their HVAC. So anything that can really cost a business money, time, or grief, frankly, is something we can capture in real time to give the grower and the finance bodies operational oversight.
So you deploy a device array throughout the entire building that goes onto all systems, monitors all functions, and reports back to a central interface where operators can detect problems before they arise?
Exactly. It's not just about what's going on right now and alarms that come with it and the dashboards that come with it, but it's about where we're taking it next. Braingrid is a technology company that has a piece of hardware that's patented. However, that doesn't make us a hardware company. We're actually a data company, and where we're taking it next is in the AI and machine learning realm to really say things like, your HVAC is showing signs of wear. It will fail in the next week. Before it fails. You know, that's a catastrophic shutdown. And we hear some sad stories in the industry that are completely avoidable if they were monitoring.
So then does this qualify as an Internet of Things company, so to speak?
Yeah, actually it does. It's an industrial Internet of Things company. That's right.
Interesting. So then what is the sort of revenue model?
It's a subscription as a service, but where we differ in terms of service companies, unlike other service companies in this industry, we don't charge per head or per licensed person. If you look at other industries, even traditional agriculture, the number of people are decreasing or stagnating at best, and labor shortages are everywhere, especially in the States. So our product and the way we model it is a subscription as a service. It's about 10 cents a square foot on average. It's just a ballpark. It varies a little bit. And a setup fee of about 25 cents to $1 per square foot. But again, we slide between CapEx and OpEx depending on the customer's requirements. So if they want an upfront on their 2-year, we can provide just an upfront fee that covers the entirety of that contract length.
Okay, and you have, as your clients currently Believe is one of them. Do you have others?
Yes, and publicly I can mention these ones.
Okay.
There are more than this. Believe, WeedMD, we've been in cannabis since 2016 with them.
Okay.
Very early, learned a lot with them. We've got Leaf Cannabis out in California.
Right. And you've got partnerships with Ample Organics, Rent to Grow. What's the nature of the partnerships?
Well, these two partners are absolutely imperative to understand how valuable they are. Because if you look at the market, you zoom out, you see the commercial side with the LPs, and then the micro growing side where the people like you and me can grow up to 4 plants yourself, legally now, as of the 17th. We've got partnerships in both of those areas. So with Ample, what we're essentially doing is coming in from the top down on the decision makers with our relationship. It's an agreement we formed over a year ago. And what we're doing is something called data-driven growing. You know, Ample knows the outputs of these facilities. They understand what the growers are doing and who's consuming the product from the patient level. We understand what goes on in the grow from an environmental standpoint, from an operational standpoint, but connecting those dots is the holy grail of growing. It isolates what's best practices and worst practices. And just to highlight what I'm saying is we've launched with WeedMD and Believe an AI platform where we combine the yield information with the environmental data, the operational data, the energy use, which is actually one of the biggest cost drivers in cannabis facilities, which I can talk about more later. But closing that loop with Ample from the output to the input side is very, very important. On the other side of the market, the micro growers, we're working with Rent to Grow or RTG, and think of them as make your own wine for cannabis. Yeah. Unfortunately, though, just because you can grow stuff in your basement or in your house, you may not want to or not be allowed to legally. In Manitoba and Quebec, for instance, you're not allowed to. And the condo boards usually don't allow it either, and everywhere else. So Rent-A-Grow is here to have anywhere from 100 to 900 of these pods in a large warehouse facility in which you rent, you and me and anybody else can rent a place to grow 4 plants. We have an exclusive arrangement with them to monitor, control everything, babysit. So you can be sitting on your phone out in Muskoka or Hawaii and watch your 4 plants growing, literally.
So that's interesting. So Rent-A-Grow has obviously achieved a legislative sort of compromise with the government of Ontario that allows me to transfer my right to grow 4 plants at my home to their facility?
Yes, that's my understanding.
Wow.
And as far as I understand, in Colorado as well, where they're headquartered, they've had a lot of subscriptions, a lot of interest, and they're really just looking to secure building sites at this point.
That's interesting. I'll be interested to follow up with that. Now, so you've just raised $670,000 in a pre-go public transaction. What is the sort of economic picture look like for the company going out 6-12 months from today?
Well, before I answer that question, it's actually more than 670. We've closed our round of $2 million.
Oh, okay. So you raised $2 million.
Yeah, so that allows us to do our reverse takeover, our amalgamation with Match Capital Resources, which has been approved by both shareholders, both sides of the shareholders. The placement was for 80 cents a unit and a $1 full warrant for 24 months. We've seen some good traction with institutions, repeat investment, which is a good sign and a good confidence builder for us.
Yeah.
It demonstrates that they understand why we're valuable and why we're positioned well in this new industry. So very happy to be going public in just a few days.
Well, that's kind of exciting. I congratulate you on your go public strategy.
Thank you.
We're going to follow the company with interest, have you back, and see how your company is doing in a quarter. Thanks for joining me, Mike.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Braingrid.
It's a great name. Look, this internet. I think it's an Internet of Things story because I'm pretty sure ITT put some money into Braingrid. I think they own a piece of it. I'm not sure of the exact relationship, but anyway, a couple other points. I was talking about copper. I will figure out how to get a chart up on our system here next week. But copper looks like it had a terrible, terrible drop starting about 2.5 months ago. Dropped from the 320 level down to 250 something. 2 days ago, it looked like shit. It looked like it was all over. And then in the last 2 days, we're back over 280. Back over 280. And the way it's moving, it could be easily over 290. If it gets back over 3, anyway, copper, it interests me. It interests me. So there.
Yep. I think overall, I mean, we look at the Canadian Cannabis Index here. I'm going to add, let's see, Eve has no business being there right now. Juju's definitely off that list. Let's see here. Tilray, TGOD, 349, yeah. That's just amazing. Let's see, do we have CURA? Yeah, there's CURA. So CURA finished down slightly at 1095. I think it was our bad comments.
No, you know what? Look, it's trade 2.2 million shares. That was a sort of that's your typical. It opened at around $11, closed around $11. It was as low as 1050 and as high as 1150 or ish. Yep. So that's almost a perfect doji candle. Lots of indecision, but it's also now run from the low 7s to 11.5. That's a monster move.
Yeah.
For a company, as you have indicated, they have 450 million shares. It's a $5 billion company.
Amazing.
Look at Chiron up 30 cents. That's a big mover.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, you buy a nice position at in the more not as simple as it looks, I guess, but
yeah. Let's look at some of the CSE stocks here. So this is a big mixed day, eh?
I say it's a big mixed day.
Yeah. Let's look at the market movers and see what that picture looks like end of day here. So the market mover department Okay, so the biggest, I've got this set to dollar volume movers. So the biggest dollar volume mover was actually White Metal Resources on the TSX Venture, followed by Aldershot, Tasca. Oh, these are all mining companies. There's the first cannabis name in this list is number 7, Namaste, staging a very minor recovery, 5 cents to $1.79. There is one that seems
okay, so this is interesting. So you're saying the big volume, is this ranged by volume?
Dollar volume. Oh no, this is pure volume, sorry.
Okay, pure volume, and you're saying the biggest volume, the first 5 or 6 are all mining
Well, I think
deals.
it's interesting that the highest volume trader in the entire TSX Venture only traded 7 million shares. So that's, although this is only showing the alpha, I believe. Tasca Resources, yeah. If we look at, let's see, CSE, the top trader is St. George's Eco. Look at what happened to FSD Pharma. They made that move to acquire the NASDAQ deal, and now it's gone to sleep.
Yeah. It's had a big move, though. Like, I mean, these things just don't...
Keep going on and on.
No.
MedMen's a bit of a surprise. I mean, the big announcement on November 1st was they moved into Arizona. But so I guess we're waiting to see financials, and if one was to guess by the way that it's trading, you'd think that their financials were pretty good. Wouldn't you say, Edward?
Well, you know, I remember when Tilray came out with their results. The results came out, and they came out after the market, and I started watching. I'm thinking, look at this thing; it's catching a serious bid, and that was the beginning of the monster move.
Right.
And all that they statement when they released the numbers, the thing that I recalled was there was growth,
Right.
growth in the top line, growth, and it wasn't like they were making lots of money, but you know, just like in the .com days, whenever somebody showed some growth, the money just flew in. It seems like we're in a world where investors are willing to pay for growth. They see growth, they give it
A premium.
insane market caps.
Yeah.
And valuations.
Right.
So, I'm like I say, I'm getting thirsty.
He got 12 minutes to go. All right. Well, so what else went on in the big space today?
Look at the way Afria came back.
Yeah. Closed at up 60 cents after being down below 10.
I want to see it. Put that chart up of Afria again, please.
You want to see the Afria chart, do you?
I want to see what that final candle. I think when we looked at it, the market hadn't closed yet. I think it looks even.
APH. Oh, APHA.
Well, that's. Just put it APH in Canada.
It went up. No, it's down in Canada.
You mean it isn't going to trade in Canada anymore?
It's trading in Canada. Yeah, they're going to delist from the TSX just so they can trade NYSE.
Wow, gutsy move.
Yeah, that would be if they did it, but they didn't, so it won't. Thank God. Okay, so what's Afria going to do in the next week, Ed?
Well, I'll tell you what.
Are we going to go back to here at all?
You know, if this thing closes, I would have to say we start to see. Look.
What do you got there?
Yeah.
What? What's that? you just wave your hand at it. So what's your exposition on that, Ed?
Look, we got some resistance here because we tried to get through there. We had some bottoming out, and now we're back into this area in here.
Yeah.
You got to get it closed to get this thing turned and righted and get this thing moving. It's sort of like, we were trying here and it failed, but then finally, I think this thing has got a big range without necessarily going anywhere. Like, look at this. It's got a value. This thing got down to, there you go, 12 and change. You're trying to trick me, with all this currency stuff.
12 and change, Ed.
But look, that was up to over $20, close to 21.
Now that's what I call pretty dynamic range.
It's absolutely dynamic. Yeah.
So at 1575, you know, it's been back up over 20, like twice in the last 2 months. So does that, and if you were to look at these patterns, it seems to be heading, this would tell me that it's either going back to 20 or much higher. What do you think of that? What do you think of them apples, Ed?
I think it's got a good shot of going here. And what you wouldn't want to see, this is what you wouldn't want to see. Like, let's say the thing gets up here into the, 18, 19 level, and then spends about a week going across, much like this pattern, without getting back up to quite as high. That would look, a lot of people would look at that as being negative, and then it would roll over and maybe, breach those lows over here. But it's so look, it's already hit $16. It's close to 16 now.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look.
I know sometimes I don't say definitely this is going to happen, because I just think we're dealing in probabilities here.
Well, so look at this. These are the S&P TSX down 30, S&P 500 down 17, NASDAQ down, NYSE down.
Sort of a minor day, but
here's the problem: is that we looked at that sell-off that started on October 31st, and pretty much we're all in agreement that the reason it started selling off was because the S&P and the broader market sold off. Well, today they're selling off again, but the cannabis market is acting in opposition. So, that correlation and that observation does not really seem to be that valid at this point.
That observation you made yesterday about the correlation?
The observation on the correlation, yeah. So it doesn't really fit.
Yeah.
But
well,
okay. So now let's take a look.
Apple's down $15. Google's down $12.
Yeah.
These are the big boys. The FANG.
Fang.
I almost bought myself 10 or 20 shares of Amazon the other day at $1,500 on the button, and I saw it today at $16.65. See, there's different ways to make money.
Yeah. Yeah. Indexes. Let's take a look at how the S&P did today. S&P 500. Let's pull that bad boy up. Oh man, it's so slow, I guess because the market's closing.
Is the market closed?
Yeah.
Oh boy, I'm getting thirsty. Do we have any more throws?
No, that's it, Ed. 7 minutes to go. You got to keep talking for 7 minutes.
That shouldn't be too hard.
That needs a drink. Okay, so tomorrow, Ed, let's take a look at
Jesus, you want a little quick joke?
Nope. Here's the cannabis index.
This is a good one.
But
you want it or not?
7. So we got this rally underway here, Ed.
There's no such thing as no. It's only not yet. Okay, what do you got?
Well, I'm just wondering. So we got this rally that's been underway here. Now, is this going to continue? This little rally here. We really got to get this NDI crap sorted out. What a piece of junk. Can't even put your mouse over it. So of these, look at this. Look at everything closed up today on the large cap.
Everything.
Everything. So the index as a whole finished up 3.3.
What you're saying is it's not all inclusive.
Well, it's not all inclusive because there are some other large cap companies that don't appear there yet.
Yeah.
Well, so yeah. But anyway, so what do you think? Is this going to continue next week?
I think we're trying, but I caution the viewers that the longer it takes, in other words, we can work off an extreme oversold condition by just going sideways. So we're oversold, so I don't think we're going to drop.
Yeah.
Okay. But I think if it can't get going and it keeps moving sideways, it works off the oversold, and then is if it keeps moving sideways and then all of a sudden rolls again,
Yeah.
then we're going to have another correction.
Very good.
And so that's
Anyways, that's our show for today. If you'd like to follow us on YouTube or on Facebook, just
I got a
subscribe it
quick
and hit
joke.
the alarm for you.
It's a good one.
Okay, we're going to cut for one more joke.
just
from Ed.
just a little joke here. You don't want to.
You're looking it up. You're not even. It's not even your own joke.
Okay, just.
Oh my gosh! Anybody can read a joke off the internet. Good God.
Okay,
Ed.
here. Okay,
I'm gonna-
so here we go. Here we go. Okay, there's a guy. Okay,
There's a guy.
and he makes furniture polish and he makes pot oil.
Okay.
Okay.
Makes weed oil.
Yeah. So one day he gets the bottles mixed up, and he drank the furniture polish by mistake. It was a terrible death, but he had a lovely finish.
All right, that's our show for today. If you like it, like it. If
Get
you
it?
don't like
Furniture polish, lovely finish.
it, anyway, so we'll be back on Monday with a whole bunch more market analysis, guests, and fun stuff. Thanks for joining us. See you next week.
Love them or hate them, I'm going to be here.